Hi guys, welcome back to the AEW Project. This week we're doing our what we're watching AEW All Out. Is that what it's called? I know nothing about AEW. This has got to be said. So this is all relatively brand new territory for me. Obviously, I know a lot of the wrestlers, but I don't actually watch any of it. So we're watching this pay-per-view, and hope you enjoy our reactions. Matt Seidel.
Okay.
Oh.
I forgot he'd signed quite a while ago, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Them two would be quite good against each other. That's going to be a brilliant match.
Up we
go! No!
Your first move.
No! Oh my
I thought he was dead. I genuinely thought he was dead. I was like, he's dead. He's dead. That's it. It's done. I've just watched someone die. No,
Even Jake's laughing.
His first move in AEW, and it's the biggest botch I've seen for a while. That was horrendous.
It happens, you know. People slip.
I mean, they're slipping and then they're slipping.
Well, no, he was obviously going for the shooting star because he made it famous, didn't he?
Yeah.
Back, that was.
That's unfortunate for him.
I'm just glad he didn't land on his head.
Yeah, because that could have been really bad.
No, he could have died. Like, it's not just bad. Dead. That was another super kick, so 6.
Super kick!
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
That looks a good pizza, to be fair.
That's a decent effort. It's a Papa John's, though, isn't it? It's not any crappy place.
Yeah.
With its little footstool in the middle of it as well.
Did I miss anything?
Yeah.
That's Archer one, and Jake hit. Who was the other guy?
Eddie Kingston.
Hit him with the snake in the back.
Hit him with the bag of snake. Like, literally just went like that and hit him. It was like, okay. But yeah, that was. I would say that was relatively sort of predictable, sort of from early on-ish.
Well, I thought Eddie Kingston was going to win it, to be honest with you, but.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I mean, they got about halfway, and I was thinking it was most likely to be Lance.
Did Paige just kick out of an assistant aisle driver?
Yeah.
It's a good. To be fair, though, it's a good way to build him as a single when he goes back to singles in a minute.
That's true, I guess.
Because at the end of the day, they're still going to put him away. It takes 2, and that builds Kenny and him.
He's dead now. Like, he's just dead. Okay.
But yeah, so that builds him still as strong, doesn't it, straight off the bat? So yeah, that was a good match. It was just the whole. If they could have had it sort of more enjoyable matches all the way through, that match would have been amazing. But it's because it was so flat leading up to it. It's like it's gone flat and it's gone whoop, and then hopefully they don't go back to being flat. So what do we have to begin with? We had the Britt Baker.
Well, we had the Bad Boy versus someone. I can't remember. And the Bad Boy won. And
that was okay. It wasn't. There was nothing stand out.
It was a pre-show match. It made sense to be on a pre-show. It was good enough for a pre-show. There's nothing more to add.
We then had Britt Baker versus Big Swole.
No, we then had the tag team match, the Private Party versus.
Yeah, we had that one. Sorry, I forgot that on the pre-show as well.
whoever the other team were that Private Party faced.
So the Street Profits.
They were like two random guys out of
Because I have the Dark Order.
4 and 7 or something like that.
Again, that was an okay match. It wasn't.
It wasn't a bad one.
But they were both pre-show matches.
Look, I mean, Dark Order, the Street Profits. See, Private Party are not bad, but they are literally just the Street Profits AEW style, and I don't like Street Profits, so
it's kind of so obvious it's shoved down your throat, taking the mick a bit, and it's like really because they weren't even a bad tag team. So if they come with their own gimmick, they're quite good.
They're good in the ring. I mean, I don't really know about their mic skills that much, but they're good in the ring. Yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't the worst, but I didn't enjoy it.
But that was okay because that was the pre-show, so you can sort of live with that. If it goes on and it could easily have blown away and been an amazing pay-per-view. Of course, we started with Britt Baker and Big Swole on the main show, which was
this determined the pay-per-view for me. But you don't start a pay-per-view with a bad match. If this was on pre-show, I would have took it. And the next match would have actually been a good starting match.
Do not start a pay-per-view with a flat match as that. No. And I just didn't enjoy it.
No, it wasn't good. Like there was
Go on. Was there anything else you want to say? Is that
there was no redeeming factor to that match? Like they did it as a cinematic match, which was great to have something a bit different. You know, cinematics. It's worked well for WWE, so they thought, oh, we'll give it a bash, and they come up with that. And I'm sorry that I've swore as much as I have, and Dan's got to edit it, but like that was awful.
Yeah, agree. Young Bucks Jurassic. Go on, Pete. Sorry, we'll get there in a minute.
It just really annoys me. It's just summed up the whole pay-per-view for me. You start off with a bad one like that, it's going to take a hell of a lot to change it. And I'm looking at the card now, thinking of the matches, and go, do you know what? If they put this in a pre-show, I would have said the actual main show wouldn't have been that bad.
Yeah.
Apart from this one match, you just let it down. And it started the whole pay-per-view off, so it spoiled it for me straight away.
He put it all on the bad foot, didn't it? So going forwards from that point, it was all just like, nah.
I mean, we'll go through. We had both of the tag matches. So we start off with we had Young Bucks and Jurassic Express, which was an okay match. It was obviously. It was super kicks. Well, I think we had 4 super kicks, which is actually less than I was expecting.
Super kick counter!
Super kick counter! But
Jurassic Express are really good as well. I like them. So it was actually a good match.
That for me was probably. I'm going to go out and say probably in the matches. No, it probably wasn't quite match of the night. It was certainly top 2 though, I would say.
I enjoyed.
Of course, we then had the Dark Order against Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares.
I enjoyed that match. I didn't like the ending, but I enjoyed the match.
Agreed. The thing that I took away from that is that it keeps getting really pushed down the throat that Dustin is Cody's older brother, and just it's boring me.
I don't understand as well. The thing that I don't get is why Brody Lee is so determined to have Colt Cabana with him. Like, that's obviously the story that they're pushing, is to try and push them as their, like, for some reason they're just determined to get Colt Cabana on side, and I don't really get it.
Yeah.
No, the thing that probably be with that is
people on the team, and Colt Cabana constantly loses, so why would they really want him? Like,
the thing is with me, anything I've ever watched Colt Cabana before, it was always a bit of a comedy kind of joke. They've tried to pump for that, and now they're thrown into a serious storyline. And it's like, I find it hard to take, but that's because I don't know if it's just I've watched his old stuff. Yeah, it's quite hard, a big change from what he normally does.
Well, we might as well round off with all the final tag match as well. To be fair, we had 3 tag matches, which was Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus FTR.
Title match.
With a title.
Title match. Sorry.
Fight. FTR winning. We all agreed that was the most predictable outcome. Kenny Omega, Page.
Yeah, I mean, they've built the story well. We know what's going to happen. It's going to end up being, because obviously the Bucks won their match earlier on in the night. It's going to be the Bucks versus FTR for the titles at some point in the future. That's obviously going to happen. It's been built well. It's been built for a long time. I think people are looking forward to it. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy for that to happen. I'm happy to see that.
Yeah.
As much as I don't like the books as well, I'm happy to see that. I think
the
the other obvious storyline coming out of that is obviously going to be Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page, because obviously Adam Page is now out of the Elite. I think that's the obvious step there. So it was a very predictable match.
For me, that was probably
the one I'm really looking forward to.
I think, to be fair, that was probably my favourite
Kenny Omega's storyline.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to them two so much.
Yeah, I think that was probably the match I enjoyed the most of the night. To be fair, and the other tag match before that I quite enjoyed. We then had, I've sort of done them out of order, sort of grouping them. We had Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara.
We did.
That could have been amazing. Obviously, it's clear that Matt definitely did have an injury, despite me being skeptical about how it was being done. Shouldn't have ever carried on. If he's legitimately got a concussion, which I think he has,
he was screwed.
It's ridiculous that they've carried on, and I'm really disappointed.
The match got stopped because it was so bad. And then their testing clearly consisted of Matt going into the medical room, the doctor saying, "Matt, are you okay?" And Matt going, "Yes." And then they put the match back on. Like, that's clearly what happened, and that's kind of disgusting.
I'm really disappointed with it.
They really need to work on their concussion protocol, because that is wrong. There's no way should that match have happened for Matt to then go and climb a scaffolding. And I guarantee that they were supposed to climb higher up that scaffolding, but they stopped early to stop Matt from going any higher in case he fell because he was concussed.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Disgusting. Should not have happened. That match should not have continued.
Yeah, I was with you, Dan. I thought when it first happened, and then you see Matt go walking off after the match ended, and the X got thrown up. I thought, hold a minute, this looks too. Everything's timed perfectly for the cameras, and I was like, hold on a minute. And then when they walked off, and you just saw Matt vanish, and then come back and start, it was like, yeah, okay, yeah. Obviously, he's been checked out.
Yeah, they were stalling for time while the doctors looked him over, but the doctors.
And I guarantee more should have happened even in the ring, but they've gone straight to that whole final segment and finished the match. They've just ended it there and then. I don't think they would have wanted to. Well, it's stupid, but they put someone's health over having an ending of a match.
I mean, especially when you obviously, I don't know if anybody else has seen it or follows, but obviously Rebby Hardy's been quite vocal about what happened on Twitter. Rebby Hardy being Matt Hardy's wife, who's very vocal about anything that happens involving Matt, really. But, I mean, she's not wrong. You know, quite often I'll criticise what she says about other wrestlers and things, but in this instance, I think she's bang on. I think she's exactly right. Everyone that was in that building should be ashamed of that match continuing. So I don't think there's any more I can add to that.
So next, lads, we had the 21-man Casino Battle Royal.
We did.
Oh, yes.
It was all a bit. Again, it was the sort of story of the pay-per-view. It was all flat.
I didn't mind the Battle Royal. I thought it was done
okay.
quite.
But the thing is, it wasn't great. It wasn't poor. It was just there.
Can we just mention the one bit, please?
Yes, the one standout bit for me was Matt how do you say it? Matt Sydal? Is that how you say it?
Sydal.
He's debut.
Sydal. Matt Sydal.
So he was Sydal, but without Sewer and with Matt.
His debut.
Yeah, his debut, first move. Botching his shooting star press. Do not get me wrong. For your first move, it's a brave move to go for. Obviously, he knows how to do it, and he's very good at it from his time as Matt, as what he's been as Anders Evan Bourne in WWE. But that was probably one of his. He's done a few botches when he's done the shooting star press that I've seen. I think that was his worst one.
That was his worst. In fairness, happens. He slipped. There's a lot of baby oil in that ring. You know, he slipped on ropes. It happens. I'm just glad he didn't land on his neck. I think that's the important thing about that.
I've got to wonder, was that the only move that they actually gave him, really, in the match?
Yeah, it was.
He didn't do it. He certainly didn't do any other finishers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Are we happy with the outcome as well, Lance Archer?
Lance Archer was the right choice. Like, it was going to be him or Kingston, and it came down to them two as the final two as well. So,
and it gives Jake more airtime.
against Jake. Yeah, you're a
The
big
only
fan of
obvious thing
Jake.
could have been is they could have finally pulled the trigger on Sean Spears.
I think Sean's always going to be there. I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if Sean never gets they pull the trigger on him. But he's always there as a backup option, isn't he? He's always there. That you probably could throw him into their title mix, whether that's TNT, whether that's the AEW Championship.
Well, I mean, they're teasing the Four Horsemen reunion with him, aren't they? So Tully's obviously teasing
From
it
what
with, and so far we've got the Revival and Sean Spears. So we need a fourth member, and I'm not sure who that's going to be.
Matt
But I would
Cardona?
assume it's probably going to be Sean Spears as the leader.
Can it be Matt Cardona?
I doubt it.
So yeah, the next match was the AEW Women's Championship. Very, very obvious outcome. Was always going to be the AEW Women's Champion winning it, because why would another brand's champion come in and win? That would just make their brand better than AEW, which would be stupid. Apart from being poor. Anything else to add on that one, lads? Or are we moving on straight on to the final two?
Look, I don't think it was poor. It was probably a pretty good match. I think by the time it was on in the card, we were all so fed up with all the botches and craps and bad moments within the pay-per-view. And the fact that the pay-per-view felt very, very long. I think we were just annoyed by that point.
It was longer than SummerSlam in WWE, and that's their biggest one. That's their second biggest one of the year. Theory.
So I think it was just to the point where we just didn't care anymore, and that's not their fault. I mean, it is their fault at the same time. The AEW's women's division is awful. Like, they don't build it at all. It's just not good. And obviously, this person's had no build whatsoever because she's come from a different company. So
it's an odd way to
It's one of the, you know what, this paper you just summed up there. If the matches were half the length, a couple of decent spots, but the actual pay-per-view was an hour shorter, I'd have actually enjoyed it a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, it just felt like it dragged.
Yeah,
and that was
There's no reason they don't have to have it that long. They ain't trying to compete with WWE for that. You'll get a better pay-per-view if you cut it down.
Yeah, this was their big pay-per-view of the year as well, wasn't it? The All Out, I think. Yeah. I don't know. They're still too early to know which one's their proper main pay-per-view and what's not, but it felt like it was supposed to be one of their bigger ones.
We'll move on. We had the final two matches of the night, which was Jericho Orange Cassidy, and then we also had with the Mimosa Mayhem match. We also had Moxley and MJF in the AEW Championship match. For me, both of these, which is annoying because I moan about how many spots, for example, the Young Bucks do, but there was not enough spots in either of these matches. If we warrant the fact that it was a Mimosa match, there should have been more spots. If we warrant the fact that it was an AEW Championship match and there was a clear blade job, which I can let you go into in a minute if you want, Link, there wasn't enough spots for it to be a bladed job. I'm all for there being blood, or deliberate blood, but in that match, that wasn't needed. For it to be a Mimosa Mayhem match, that wasn't a Mimosa Mayhem match. It was, there's two very small baths of some sort of orangey substance.
You said very small. They were a fair size.
Oh, like they were a Jericho size.
Yeah.
Which is a bath. they were like small hot tubs. But for me,
hot tub's a pretty big size for a mimosa. I'm not being funny.
All right. But they weren't drinking it, in all fairness. But yeah, for me,
I want to spray it out of everywhere.
Yeah, mate. It should have been more chaotic. But for me, both of those matches flopped.
I can't disagree with anything you've just said. So I'm going to start with the Mimosa match. Obviously, there was a couple of spots in it that were interesting. I think the power bomb onto the table by Jericho
was okay.
Was good. I think Cassidy's head may have hit that ice bucket personally. And when he picked him up, there was blatantly a sugar glass, or it may have been a real glass, but I'm pretty sure it's sugar glass champagne bottle on the table underneath him where he'd landed. So this is more to the point of what you were saying about the blade job. Obviously, where he landed on glass, but there was no cut on him whatsoever. Absolutely fine. Which makes, I'm not complaining about that. Like, that's fine.
That's good. We don't need the blood.
In every match, you don't need it. Like,
unless
it can happen.
Unless it's legit.
So that was fine. Obviously, it ended with Jericho going into the vat. Okay. Why was there two vats if you only need one? You only ended with one.
And the majority of the match was over that one side anyway.
Yeah, I don't understand why there was a second VAT in the first place. But, okay, whatever. I'm going to move on to the main event, unless Pete's got anything to say about that one.
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the main event, obviously, world title match. I think everyone kind of thought MJF was going to get it for a change, and it'd be a bit of a change up. MJF's definitely done the work to deserve it. He's got people talking, people are interested. That blade job, I just can't get past it. There was no reason for MJF to be bleeding that much. There was no real hardcore spots in this match at all. And he bled worse than, he bled. I'm not going to say he bled as much as Eddie Guerrero did with JBL or anything like that.
But it was getting on for sort of senior level.
Yeah, he bled a lot, and there was no hardcore stuff at all. Like, obviously, Moxley's known for the hardcore spots, but there was no hardcore spot. It was just a blade job, and it was completely unnecessary, like massively unnecessary. And if anything, it makes it look worse when they do blade jobs for matches when it is necessary.
If they wanted to do that, do one spot that was a chair, anything. Just do something to warrant it. And it would have been like, fair play, look.
Yeah, get the ref to look away and smack him with a chair, and then he can bleed as much as he wants. It would look normal.
Yeah.
But there was nothing. It just kind of happened, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I hope the next one's better, but this was sort of my first one since they really started with AEW. But what I watched, it wouldn't make.
You're not rushing back, are you, Dan?
I'm not rushing back. This is the thing. If we're talking of sort of grading this, it's a solid D, maybe even C, but that would be a very low C. But probably a solid D for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree. Look, I'm going to continue to watch AEW. I've actually enjoyed the weekly shows. I've enjoyed Dynamite over the last couple of weeks. I didn't enjoy them. It felt like a Dynamite that lasted 3 times longer than it needed to, and the matches were worse.
Yeah,
so
this is for me going off of the fact that I don't watch AEW at all in like over a year or so, more than.
I'm sure we'll get loads of criticism, and there'll be loads of people in the comments now saying, "Oh, it's great, AEW are the best," blah blah blah. Your WWE fanboys.
But the thing is, the very first pay-per-view was what, Double or Nothing?
Yeah.
Was miles better than this. Miles better than this.
I don't think even fans of AEW could disagree with it.
Look, I enjoy wrestling. I don't enjoy just WWE. Like, we watched a pay-per-view for ICW like 2 weeks ago. Also here on our YouTube channel, which you can go and watch right now for our reactions to that.
We can actually watch it as a full watch-along. So press play when I press play.
Yeah. We all enjoyed it, you know, and that's not a WWE show. That's complete people that we didn't know. We don't really know much about the brand at all, as you'll hear us talk about.
Some bits really impressed us in that.
But we enjoyed it enough to be able to watch it. You know, they built the show properly. They did bits that they needed to. But that was no build-up, no nothing. We watched that. Whereas this, we've had the weeks of build-up with AEW, Dynamite, and the pay-per-view itself just... And like we've already discussed as well, it fell flat from the first match. That big Swole versus Britt Baker match. I don't think it was. Look, it wasn't awful, but it just wasn't in the right spot. It would have been fine for a segment on a weekly show.
It probably would have been fine as putting it as a segment in this. Break down the actual fight in, but could have done something in this as sort of like a pass away and throw off and carry it on, but it wasn't opening match worthy, that's for sure.
They could have stuck it in between 2 of the tag matches that were all quite good, and it would have been like, yeah, right, we had a bit, but you had 2 really good matches in the side.
People joke about the pee break matches, but you need them as a fan, as a wrestling fan. You need the pee break, you need the drinks break, you need to go and get something. It would have it would have actually served its purpose very well, and obviously it would have been fine for the people that will stayed and watched, but it wasn't opening match.
No.
So, yeah.
But yeah, I think long story short is it was a meh pay-per-view. very, very meh. And it was too long.
And that's coming from the three of us that are really usually very positive. And actually, I've left a lot of places that talk about wrestling because it becomes so negative about the whole product, not just WWE, not just AEW, but Impact and wherever else.
I will say that I'm interested.
So it's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for me for me to have a negative opinion on wrestling.
I'm interested in seeing what they do with the next one because they must read these, they must hear these because it's not just us saying it, a lot of people are saying it about this pay-per-view, and they've got to step it up. So I'm interested to see what they do next.
I mean, you guys know me, you know my opinion. Any of you that have come from EWC, you've seen my opinions on there in the past during our watch-alongs and things. I like to have a positive opinion on wrestling. I like to have a positive opinion all round on wrestling because I feel that people having a negative opinion on wrestling brings the whole community down and makes wrestling worse.
And there's a reason people step away from the whole community.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, as people doing this for YouTube for people to watch, it's a negative impact on us for us to put out things saying that the wrestling's bad. Because if you're watching it, you may go, well, it's bad, so I'm not going to watch it. And then stop watching. So then you'll stop watching our reviews. So it actually negatively impacts ourselves. So for us to say, yeah, it's not that good, maybe it's not that good. Like it's.
But what you get with us is that it is completely honest.
Yeah, and I think also there was no real excuse for why it wasn't good because they could have put on a great show.
Some wrestlers in there.
I should look at that card and I would look at that and go, do you know what? Say for example, it's obviously I don't know what we're saying is their WrestleMania, but let's say that would be a WWE or an AEW's WrestleMania. I'd look at the card and go, yeah, fair. But
even matches like Revival, Kenny Omega and Adam Page. Kenny Omega and Adam Page, two of the best wrestlers in the world. The Revival, the best tag team wrestling in the world.
It's at least an A grade show on paper. The fact that it's come as far down as a D is gutting.
It's shocking. It really is.
Yeah. But I think that's where we'll leave it, lads. I'm sure we'll come back for another AEW pay-per-view.
We will.
In my personal opinion, with how busy I am, I ain't going to be tuning in for Dynamite all the week. I don't always catch SmackDown and Raw. I've still got to catch up on this week's. So
I will still watch as I always do.
You do, because you're our little oracle. We need our oracle. But I still enjoyed this afternoon, boys. And I hope everybody that's watching enjoyed hearing our honest opinion, even if it isn't as positive as it always is. But yeah, guys, I don't think there's anything else to say except from please leave a like on the video, share, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was the most ridiculous ending to a promo. Oh my days. I'm coming for your butt.